And this is the first time we've had him on the show, or at least we've had a chance to meet. Would you welcome, please, Oliver Reed? It's nice to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
How are you?
Quite extraordinary.
Yes, that's what... that's what I hear. You and Miss Winters have never worked together.
No, we haven't.
Didn't you used to be under contract at RKO?
No, you see,
I'm sorry. I'm intimidated by the British.
Why is that? You know, most Americans, and I've said that on the show before, seem to be intimidated by English people in general. They feel a little, I guess, insecure. I don't know.
Most of them, you see, we made love to.
Most of them.
I would have remembered.
You've forgotten. No, I don't know why. I think it's a myth. I think it's very polite. I think America is an amazing country simply because it's comprised of a mosaic of European culture, do you understand? Yeah. And people that came to America, it seems to me, because they thought that they were either economically or socially or religiously persecuted. And they came and they made a happy place of it.
Right.
Some of them behaved themselves and some of them are quite loud.
We have a great mixture here. What,
I would have remembered.
But you forgot, sweetheart. Give me your hand.
We do know each other.
One written Sour Misfortune's book.
This can't be happening on television.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I thought it was my turn.
It is.
Anyway.
Yes, anyway, what brings you here?
I'm here making... I have just finished a film called Burnt Offerings with Betty Davis, who you remember.
Yes, I remember.
And Karen Black, who maybe is a little younger than you.
Yeah, but she's not as... Never mind.
But Betty Davis is probably older.
Yes, and it's called Burnt Offerings. Mm-hmm. And we made it in San Francisco, in Oakland, just outside.
Yeah. Betty Davis is quite a lady. She has been with us several times on this show. And is one of the great actresses, I guess. You've never worked with her?
Never worked with her before at all, no. I rode her food trolley up and down the corridor outside her room at nights, and she... and she got a bit cross about that.
Being the room service table outside?
That's right. But it was all right. I sent her some roses. She gave me a tennis ball signed with Betty Davis and a picture of herself.
She gave you a tennis ball signed Betty Davis?
Yes. She gave it all. It was amazing because she used to live in this hotel, and outside they had, because I believe they didn't make enough money. I could be incorrect. They didn't make enough money out of the hotel, so they've turned the tennis courts. It's like a gymnasium. There are swimming pools, people come in with rubber hats on, they swim up and down, people play tennis all day. And Betty Davis came along and she borrowed a pair of binoculars because she's supposed to bird watch in the film. In actual fact, she was looking at the fellas playing tennis. And so when the film finished, she gave us all a tennis ball.
That's very nice. I don't have one myself, and I wouldn't like to have
ask
one. Would you ask her next time?
They're on the prop strike.
We have to take a break? All right, we'll do a commercial. We'll be right back. Stay where you are. We're talking with Oliver Reed and Shelley Winters, and you brought up the word kinky, which is a word they use in England quite often, but it's not too used here.
Well,
how would you define that? And then
the
I'll
English are rather kinky. They never talk about sex. Never.
We just do it, madam.
Yes,
That's quite British.
Yes.
Yes. We talk about it a lot, American, discuss it.
Do you know, I'm playing a colonel in my next film, and this is why I look extraordinary. And I combed my hair, and I thought...
You look like Hitler.
Excuse me.
That's why I didn't recognize you.
Do you know that Hitler was an Austrian, and most Prussians and British are very close, and that's why we fought each other. Mark my words. So
anyway, you're doing the...
So I'm playing a colonel. I thought, I don't know what to do. So I went into half this is pencil, because I've only grown it for 4 days. It proves I'm not terribly virile. But they penciled it in. And I was going to...
I remembered.
That is why, ladies and gentlemen, you woke up the next morning with my moustache
Sometimes a mustache and a mask will hide the identity.
How come you get a moustache?
No, wait a minute. This is American. We're very Puritan. We have the Puritan tradition here.
Yes.
Can I leave now for the theater? I have to be on the stage in a little while.
You don't really have to leave, do you, Sean?
No.
And you have met before. And
Do you know there's no way? There's
Shh.
Quiet.
Can we end the show now?
Please be quiet for a minute.
Yes, sir.
Good.
I am not really used to this. Will you please be quiet for a minute while I talk to this gentleman? I'm on the show
Yes, sir.
to talk.
Okay.
Not just to hear you, madam.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Oliver. This is like it'll be...
Right? And she was saying it was a bad audience?
Women's liberation, madam, will never survive. Not while I'm in the kitchen.
This could turn out to be a hell of a fight tonight.
Oh, you won't slip down because, madam, I noticed while you were on the show, you're actually far more controlled than you make out. Would you take off your shoe?
One.
Because on the bottom of your shoe, you have some...
I bought them in England.
Do you know why that's on there? Do you know why? So she won't fall over. That's dry British humor. But then I'm only playing a colonel.
Yes.
Royal Scots Dragoon Guards.
Is that what you are? Are you a member of the Royal Scots?
No, actually, in the film, I'm supposed to be... the opening scene of the film is quite funny, actually, because the opening scene... This is a new film. I read the script yesterday. I very rarely read a script. And I'm looking at some cows, and the lady comes up to me, and she said, would you join my father? I'm Colonel Blood's daughter. And I say, how do you do, madam? And she said, I would like you to come and join my father's army. I said, I've given up the Special Air Service, the commandos, the paratroop regiment, MI5, MI16. I've given all that stuff off, and I've given it all up, and I'm just with the cows. And there's boom, boom in the background. She said, what's that? And I said, it's my gamekeeper, keeping away my creditors. And she said, well, then won't you join the army for money? And the British have been mercenaries. And I said, well, I don't really want to. I mean, if the cows could give milk, we'd be on good footing. And she looks down, they're all heifers. So she says, they're all heifers. So I say, oh, I've never had anything to do with sex and that sort of thing.
Oliver, don't do this picture. Don't do this film.
Well, you should see the cows. I'll give up smoking now.
It's Friday, all right.
But it's not Las Vegas.
It's not. Have you ever been there?
No, I haven't. They tell me they gamble there. They game. In England, we call it gaming.
Gaming, yes, and it's very big in England, but it's legalized in England. It's not. You have what they call, not bookies as we call them, but what is the
turf accountants?
Turf consultants.
Accountants.
Turf which is a very high-class name for
it's for a bookie.
For a bookie, right.
Up until a few years ago, we used to have bookies runners. You could never, up until about 12 years ago in England, you weren't allowed to have a turf accountant's shop. And people used to stand on the side of the road with a piece of paper in their top pocket. And they used to flag you down. And you would go, you'd stop the car, and you would say, I want it on the nose, the 2:30 at Ascot.
And drive away, that was it?
And drive away. And the next day you would drive back to exactly the same place, and he wouldn't pay you.
It takes the fun out of it now when you have terrific accountants. That sounds like more fun stopping on the side of the road.
I like to win sometimes.
Yeah.
No.
Let me leave for a second here, but we shall return. Right here. You're one of the few English entertainers, I understand, that still, a lot of them have changed residence, have they not, out of England? Because of the heavy taxation.
Yes.
They seem to move, somebody said they had a group on one night that moved to the Isle of Man because of the high taxes and so forth.
Yes, they've made it now very expensive. In the Isle of Man, apparently somebody's got to give to the government of the Isle of Man a great deal of money in order that they live there to prove that they're not using it as a tax shelter. Mm-hmm. Yes, a lot of people have left. It becomes at times prohibitive to live there. I still stay there. That's the next question. I still stay there because I've fallen in love with my horses and my old house, which is falling down. And
what happened to the cows? I'm sorry.
That was in the picture.
Oh, that was in the picture.
Yes.
I'll be quiet.
I've fallen in love with my horses, madam, and my old house, which is falling down. And I've spent the last 3.5 years with the aid of a lot of film technicians who now can't get a job, like painters and plasterers and chippies. We're trying to get it back together again.
When you say old house, an old house in this country would be 100 years, but in England, an old house, 100 years means nothing.
There's the rub, because I can't get any help because Victoriana is being pulled down. I've made a movie in San Francisco recently, and some of the great Victorian architecture in San Francisco is being pulled down. And they're building huge, great cement
high-rises, yeah.
Certainly.
They're very good at that, though. You know.
No, but in their place.
Is...
But it is a shame, you know, because nobody's into Victorian architecture. In England, you know, if it's Georgian or it's Tudor, then everybody keeps it alive and they say it's a pity because the trucks come through. I believe that Victorian architecture should be kept alive. And I asked
Why?
Because I believe that, madam, in another 100 years' time, people are going to say, did you just leave me the ashes of the earth? Or did you leave me a house? And I believe that at the end of the last century and the beginning of this, some people made in opinions of most ugly buildings. But I believe that Victoriana, come another 100 years' time, is going to be of sufficient importance that maybe our great-grandchildren will
Should have something to look at.
Yes, and that seems to strike a heavy note, but I do. And so I have...
Oliver, could I take a second of your time? Just a second. Quick,
madam.
just
You've
a
taken
second.
most of the show. I know you... I know you've got to go to the theatre.
I know when when my little girl, who's gorgeous now, 22, was little, about 15 months old, I did a picture in London, and I came there with my mother and the nurse, and, And anyway, and they rented a house for us on Curzon Street or something, and we walked in, and it was really, outside it looked beautiful, but inside, the temperature was about 10 degrees below zero, and it was very gloomy, and Gregory Peck had slept there. That was the famous thing about it, and before that it had been
And he's not 23?
No, and before that it had been a brothel. You know, those girls who used to come there. And this man extolled this house and said to my mother, this house is 300 years old. And my mother said, but do you expect me to live in it with a baby? No, but, okay, I got it so long. Next time.
You gotta go to the theater. Thank you.
Anyway.
A lot of non sequiturs tonight. Things just kind of trail off and...
She's all right. She can't shout at us now.
Yeah, she's...
So much for women's lib. Who's the lady that shouted?
Do they have a women's lib movement big in England also?
Always.
Oh, it's
Always.
all over
But the women in England are quite good. They're always in the kitchen, so you can't hear them when they shout.
You think that's where they should be, huh?
I think that most women are very happy. I really think that most women are happy in the kitchen, not because they like... men make the best chefs.
When you ever go to a hotel and find the chef is a woman, madam?
I think
Shakespeare wasn't a bird, madam?
And neither's Johnny Carson.
I think if they paid women in the kitchen as much as they pay chefs in a hotel, women would love to be in the kitchen.
I think that basically women are very happy in the kitchen simply because it means that they're feeding their children and looking after their man. I think that the time arises when a woman is put out to work. And I think then when she comes back and says, oh, I've had a heavy day, and the husband arrives at the same time, that's a bad deal, because then they're going to fight who's going to cook and who's going to wash up.
Yeah.
I think that a woman's place is looking after her man and her children, and I think a man's place is to look after her, to protect her, and provide her with a little warmth. I really do believe
You have the old-fashioned concept, right?
Yeah, but it's fairly sweet. I mean, the women's liberationists, if they thought about that...
Shh! Quiet, woman.
Women's liberationists... I think that women's liberationists.
Now that's what is known as savoir-faire, when you can continue.
I think that women's liberationists sometimes do extraordinary things. I don't think that, in actual fact, that it gives them much armament to their cause. I mean, the fact that I have been smothered in whiskey, and it is whiskey, I can taste it, pays no cause to the lady. There are going to be a lot of people on this program that will laugh at that, and there will be several who will probably be quite indignant. I'm not indignant, because this is indicative of the bad manners of a lot of chauvinist ladies.
I like this show myself. But
And I shall stay here until it dries.
I hope you just lick it off. If Ed was here, he'd help you clean up. We'll be right back. I don't have to give you this gentleman's qualifications as an actor. I think he is probably considered by other actors and people in the entertainment profession as probably the greatest actor of our times. I admire him for that. I also admire Marlon Brando for his conscience as an American and his moral commitment when he believes in something. Would you welcome, please, Mr. Marlon Brando.
Thank you. The last time I was on the show, I can hardly remember it, but I remember vague things about it. I almost fell down as I came in. I was so dead drunk I couldn't...
No, you weren't. Now, people ask about that show.
That's true. You know what they do for people who don't know? They don't have the custom anymore, but they have a room back there where everybody sits and talks before the show, and they used to serve drinks. And you just start listening to the show, and not being a habitual tipper, I would listen and talk and listen and jabber with people. And the first thing you know, you're over the abyss and you haven't realized it. And they say, now, on the stage, you know.
The first time we started that was when you were on the first time in California.
Well, that was when you finished it, I think.
That's right, and we said no more. And because we served champagne, we were in California, we thought that would be swell. And you walked out. I remember you weren't as bad as you thought you were.
That's a compliment.
And you came out and you saw the lights, and the lights hit you, and you went. All of a sudden, you sounded just like Stanley Kowalski. They said, "Man, well, these lights are kind of bright, aren't they?" And it was a great interview. One of the highlights of our show. So we've given that up.
You'll have to rerun it for me because it's a blur.
Marlon, we knew you were in town. We got together and we have talked. We've known each other for a few years. And I'm sure that most people around the country who, unless they have not read the paper, have realized, and it was in headlines from other papers yesterday, that you have stepped out of a motion picture that you were going to do with Elia Kazan, The Arrangement, for a very important reason. And I thought you might like to mention why, and then we'll pick up from there.
Yeah, it was a very tough decision to make because I can't think of a director that's better than Gaj Kazan. To me, he is the best director. And I've looked forward, during the intervening years since I worked with him last, to working with him again. It's, of course, the story of the year, perhaps the last 2 years. And I wanted to do it more than anything. And King got shot. And I sat in front of a television set, and I wondered what it meant to me that he's dead, and that he died, and his last act was trying to get a 15-cent wage increase for garbage men, and that he was hauled to his grave by 2 mules on a rickety cart, and that on his tombstone was written, free at last, thank God Almighty, free at last. And in his last speech, on television, as I watched the news reports come over, it showed his last words the night before, and he said that he'd been to the mountain and that he'd seen the promised land. And he said, I don't know if I'm going to get there with you, but it doesn't matter about me, because I know we're going to get there. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. And he was shot dead the next day. And I thought, somehow this has got to matter somewhere. And if we don't, all the citizens, do something that is a person-to-person contribution, I don't think that we're really going to have any place to come home to if we do get a job. I felt that it was, there was just nothing that I could do in terms of what I know and what I see and what I feel. I couldn't think of any other alternative rather than to make my time, my energies, and my money fully available to do what I can as an individual to rectify the situation we're in.
You think it rather paradoxical that he seemed to accomplish, by dying, something that he might not have accomplished, maybe in time, but since his death. And you sometimes feel that maybe there's going to be a period of 2 or 3 weeks where everybody is going to say, yes, it was terrible, and it made everybody conscious of it, but really, maybe things won't change unless, the time becomes right now.
I don't think they will, Johnny. I think that nothing is really going to change unless I do it, unless the trombone player does it, unless the guy sitting and watching the television with a beer can does something about it. The president appointed a rather conservative group of men to investigate the reasons for civil disorders. And it came out in this book I brought along tonight, which might be of interest. It's called The Report of the National Advisory Commission on Civil Disorders. It's a Bantam book. You can get it anywhere. But it tells in chapter and verse the situation we're in, why we're in it, and why the black people can't get up off their knees. And it points very specifically to the white man and his feeling about the black man. It points to racism and discrimination in its most subtle forms and its most cruel and blatant forms. And that's where it is. That's the Bible. The President commissioned these people to find out. They did find out, and it's before us now. I don't think there's 1 in 100,000 Americans that have ever read it. But it isn't enough to talk anymore. It isn't enough to shake our fingers. We have to do something. We have to get up our money. We have to give our time. We have to give our hearts. And we must be involved in a person-to-person program. Fundamentally, because now that King is dead, many people, I think, and you've certainly felt it too, that there is the vacuum formed, and people...
I think a lot of people are worried that maybe the militants might rush in and try to fill that vacuum.
Well, that's where it's going to go. And I think that we've got one chance. I was talking with Walter Reuther on the way to King's funeral in the march, and Walter Reuther said that we've got one last chance as white people to straighten things around in this country. And if we don't do it soon, and if we don't do it massively, then it's going to be Armageddon, it's going to be guns, it's going to be thousands of people killed, it will be internment camps. We will have reduced ourselves as a nation and our stature as a people, importantly. And so the only thing I could think to come up with was trying to get a program where people would contribute no less than 1% of their entire year's earnings to the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, which was King's organization, to further his philosophy and to further his works, to carry on his good works. in the name of nonviolence and with the help of his beautiful wife, Mrs. King. I think there is where we have to throw our full support. I think the black people are losing heart and belief, whatever residual of faith that the white man was going to treat them equally and fairly is now running out. And I dread to think what's going to happen. But we now have to do it in a person-to-person way.
I think something that people, I don't want to interrupt you talk here, I think something that people don't think of, the more the other person benefits economically and socially, the more everybody will benefit in the long run.
Well,
it has to better everybody, not only them. That's not part of it. It's got to do more for everybody in the long run, because the more you up anybody else, the more you're going to be up along the way.
That's right. That's what Ruther said. He said that it costs us an enormous amount of money to keep black people in the position that they're in. You see, what will happen if we do nothing? People will be angrier and angrier and angrier. Frustrations will rise, and tensions will mount, and violence will occur. Because black people have been promised help, that help has not been forthcoming. At the same time, as that tension and violence rises, there will be a white withdrawal, so that people will be in fear and anger on both sides. They will be forming what you might say is polarization. A polarization will be formed, and the only people that are going to be in the center are people with guns.
Well, there's no way this country can exist with two races apart.
It can exist, but we're not going to exist the way we'd like to exist that way.
No, I said it really can't exist in the long run.
No. I think that we do have one chance left, one shot in the barrel, and the time is running out. But, so I got together with some people, and we decided that we were going to give up our time and money and use our time for action rather than non-action, rather than just jaw action. We were going to do something in a very specific way. What we hope to do is to try to get the Congress to pass these laws, to get the legislators to pass the laws that have to be passed in order for us to come together in peace and unity and productiveness. But that's going to take a certain amount of time. But I might at this point give you some very encouraging news.
I know you've talked to a certain number of people in our business already about this.
In the last day and a half, or actually today and yesterday, I've talked to a number of people. I got one hesitation and no refusals. Les Crane, Rudy Kelly, Merv Griffin, Joey Bishop, Barbara Streisand, Joanne Woodward, Zev Putterman, Paul Newman, Alex Cohen, who's the producer of the Emmy Awards, and Drew Pearson, who I just left on the phone a few minutes ago, are all willing to give up 1% of their annual salary and send it as a tribute to Dr. Martin Luther King and his foundation. I'm going to give up 10% of my earnings for the year, and there's no limit. We don't feel that it's right that we should accept anything less than 1%. But that isn't enough. Money isn't enough. Money will buy us time. But programs and so on said, you can't legislate hate in the human heart. It's there. But we have to ask ourselves. I mean, this report clearly indicates that the black people have not been able to pick themselves up by their bootstraps because of white feelings against them. And we, all of us, have to find out, what is that? Why do we feel that way? What are these reasons? And the first time You talk to a racist. When I say racist, I'm not talking like a bigot like Wallace or something like that. But if you talk to someone who is a racist, they don't know it. They don't feel it. I think all of us, if we really mine the deepest areas of our feelings, will find maybe some trace of that. And we've got to find that. We've got to root it out, and we've got to go ahead in terms of action and feeling. And primarily that's
A positive commitment.
yes, the positive.
When you called me, we talked the day before yesterday, you asked me and you explained this, and I said at that time, and I said, I didn't want to be wishy-washy, and you said, I don't know. I guess I wanted, to hear more about what was going to happen. And as you know me well enough, I think, I said, if I do anything, I certainly did not want to do it, for publicity's sake. And at the same time, if you don't get the message out, I guess, and do something in public, you are committed, but sometimes you're committed anonymously. So when you asked me would I be willing, and I told you this afternoon, I said, I'll tell you tonight. Now, I would be very happy to be a part of this, because I think, truly, it is time to stand up and be counted in this country where you stand, rather than just talking about it. Because it's pretty strange. If we cannot learn to live together in this country, I don't know how, in hell's sake, we are ever going to learn to live with anybody else in the world or understand the Asian or anybody else if we can't understand the people who are here. So I would be very happy to give you tonight, and as I say, I would prefer not to do this, but I'm doing it only as a help, because anything that will get this thing going, I would be delighted. I would be happy to give you a check. And I told you about this before the show, for 1% of my income for the year, for exactly what you want. And I hope it does some good.
It's beautiful.
Send you home. Huh? We are back. I just explained to Ricardo, I don't want you to think that I'm cutting our conversation short tonight because I admire you too much, but we got a little behind time, and I wanted to devote a little time to this gentleman, which I think, I've been reading a lot of research on him, from the Stanford Research Institute and from the science section of the New York Times, a lot of publicity on this gentleman whose name is Uri, U-R-I, Uri Geller. He is from Israel, and he's been the subject of a lot of study and quite a bit of controversy. He says that he claims to have been born, as I understand it, with the power of having psychokinetic ability, which is the movement of objects by sometimes not touching them by the mind, but without any physical touching of the objects. He has been on shows where objects have bent, things have broken just by touching them. And he's most interesting. And I tend to be sometimes skeptical, which may not be fair to him. You should probably have an open mind on this. But I would like to mention that he will be at Houston, Texas on September the 20th, and New York City's Town Hall on the 25th. And we hope we're going to see some rather astounding things tonight. Would you welcome, please, Uri Geller. Nice to see you.
Thanks.
We have only met...
This scares me.
This scares you? Well, this is we just got some things together here, and as I said, as you progress and do what you want to do tonight, well, you can tell us what you would like to try, and we'll leave it up to you.
I'll try when I'll really feel up to it, okay?
That's what I understand. I have seen you on television before, and you say that sometimes you have to be in a certain frame of mind. You sometimes will pass on a particular experiment because you're honest and say, I don't feel it, or I am not getting the thought. Is that true?
That's true. I really have to be in the mood to do things and have them happen.
Mm-hmm.
And many times nothing really happens.
Right.
And it doesn't matter if I'm in front of 3,000 people or 10 people, I do my best. And of course I'm really talking about time now.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, if I had time to bend a nail, an hour, 2 hours, or unlimited time, then it'll happen in the end.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really not only up to my mood, but up to the people who are, watching it and wanting it to happen. And that's it.
Now, a lot of people, you run into this, I'm sure, all the time. Most people, if they don't understand something, tend to be very skeptical.
Yes.
It's the unknown. People always kind of fear sometimes the unknown. You say, of course, there's not any trickery involved in this. This is some kind of ability, or I think as you phrase it, a strength or power that seems to come to you or given to you?
I call it a sort of a power. I have no specific name for it. I know that things that are moved without touching them or bent are called psychokinesis.
Right.
And telepathy is telepathy. But there are no tricks here. If I do it, it's done with real powers.
Do you know of any other cases such as yours?
Well, I heard of many people who do telepathy, and but you see, I'm also a skeptic. I mean, for instance, if you'll tell me that there is somebody you know and does it, I'll also want to see to believe. Yes, I'm sure there are other people. I do not know if there are people who can bend them or break things, but I'm sure I'm not the only one. Maybe there are many people who have these powers and do not know of them, and it did not develop in them.
You are not saying, now, for example, people have always said a true test would be, I'm going to think of something, and the person turns around and says, you are thinking of. Then that would be incredible, would it not? If I had a particular thought in my mind or a particular episode that happened, and someone could tell me.
That's incredible. That's reading your mind constantly. I cannot do that. You see, I can only do things that you really concentrate on, studied it before, and really project it to me. I cannot sit right here or near you and know exactly what you're thinking about. I wish I could, but that's...
Now, this just means we're cutting away for a second because we get a little behind time, but we're going to have, I think, adequate time for you to try what you would like to try tonight, and I'm looking forward to it. I really am.
All right, good.
We'll take a short break, and we'll be right back. Here is the Cure ad, the bandage that sticks to its job. Watch. If you have just joined us, we are talking with Uri Geller, who claims and has performed some very astounding feats. We have a variety of objects sitting here. We have also, as per your request earlier this afternoon, and if you want to try that or whenever you feel like it, one of our staff members did some drawings which have been sealed in an envelope, and I'd like you to take your own pace when you feel like you want to try anything.
Right.
Do you want to try that particular experiment first?
When I'll feel free.
When you
Okay?
Sure. And now these objects out here are, we have some nails, we have some keys, we have, as you can see, some forks, we have some aluminum canisters. These are the type of aluminum canisters I guess a roll of film would come in. All of these objects have been supplied by us. You did not bring anything here at all. We have a small, what you would call a file box with a die in it, which I understand sometimes someone can place the die in the box and shake it up, and you have a very good law of averages in naming the number that is on the top spot of the die without touching the box or opening it whatsoever.
matter.
So, would you like to try anything here?
Why don't you ask some more questions?
Want me to ask you some more questions? You have to kind
May
of
I
work
ask, when did you discover this power, Uri?
Well, I think I was really born with this power, and
But when did you discover it?
the first time I was about 7 years old, the psychokinesis power, I would concentrate on my wristwatch, and I could move the hands of the watch just by concentration, just move them to a completely different hour.
You know,
And
watch would
then-
move to a different hour just
Yeah,
by...
a complete different hour. But then it wasn't always under my control. And then I noticed that later, I mean, it didn't happen all the same day, that one of the hands is bent inside the watch, which you cannot touch by hand. And that was the first time I ever discovered that these powers exist, and I sort of have them and can control them.
Are you feeling in the mood yet? Huh?
Wow.
More questions?
All right, let's...
What's the capital of South Dakota? No, I don't mean to press you.
Okay, let me see. As you know, I told your people what to bring. One of the experiments I did at SRI is finding a hidden object in 10 cans, of course. I did it repeatedly all the time.
Right. And we have 10 aluminum
yeah.
cans there and 10 over here.
I was already trying to concentrate on them, so I'll try
we
the water.
Now, since we have been gone, let me explain to the audience at home that he has not touched these objects in any way. They were brought over here by our property man. The table was placed here. And while we have been away, you have not touched them in any manner. I will verify that.
So I'll just move my hands over them, and if I'll feel for...
And one of them contains water of
I
the
like
10.
to do it the way we'll start eliminating the ones that do not have the water. That's the way I did it at SRI. That's the way I'll try to do it here.
All right, without touching them.
Without touching them, of course.
All right.
And why don't you pick out when I say take this out,
I
Take
take
it out.
Right,
so
of course.
That means there's no water in that. I'll try to go down. Now, what I do now is try to have a sort of a feeling where the water is.
Now you're not touching them at all.
You can see that I'm not.
Well, I don't trust me.
Okay, take this one out. There's no water in. Uh-oh. Careful. You must.
Sorry.
Wait, pick them very
Very
delicately
carefully,
up.
right.
Some people call it a sort of a water roulette. But pick gently the middle one out without touching
Take the
anyone.
middle one out. Remove that. Obviously, that is empty. Excuse me. I'm sorry, I did not mean to do that. I was trying to move over to get a better look.
He is really suspicious, I'm having a hard time with you.
I don't mean to be, Yuri. I really
No,
don't.
just keep looking. And I'm telling the viewers, if I miss, then I miss. I won't pass here. Usually I pass if I don't feel for it. But if I'm wrong, then I'll be wrong. I'll also be a little disappointed, but that's the way it goes if I'm pressed. See, Johnny, what happens here, you can see that there's nothing put on here. I'm not
Yes, I understand.
trying to make it longer. I'm trying to feel. If there's no feeling, then I can't do it.
Mhm.
And that's it. Wait. Okay, let me rest a little, all right?
All right.
I'm surprised because before this program, your producer came and he read me at least 40 questions you're going to ask me.
Well, I can ask you all kinds of questions if you'd like. If you'd like me to ask you questions.
I have to have time, and give me a little more time.
All right. Now we're
We're not
gonna
gonna touch it.
we'll cut away
We're
from a
not gonna
commercial, and I will verify, and everybody in the studio will verify that
Okay.
nobody will touch the objects. Okay?
Right.
Because I don't want to push it on that, but obviously we don't have unlimited time
I know
on a
that.
television show. I wish we did.
Okay.
Which one is the breast? Do you find your meals too routine? Watch closely and see how dinner can turn into a barrel of fun. We're back. How are you feeling, all right?
Fine. I feel fine myself.
In other words, this is something you just have to feel, and you can't be pressed on
That's it. It can be pressed, and I'm sorry if that's it. Okay. Eliminate this one also. It's not
Eliminate
worrying.
that one.
Good.
All right.
I already had my feeling on the first one. I feel something from it, but
You're not
I'm
sure.
not sure.
All right, you've got 7 more there.
Yuri?
Yeah.
Let me ask you something. If someone, suppose I felt that also, is that a supporting thing?
No, you see, because I have to come down to it myself. I mean, you can't choose for me. You see, there's actually, again, I'm saying there's no guesswork here.
But you mentioned something. You said if the audience helps you concentrate, if they help you think about
Oh yeah,
this.
it helps. It helps to a limited extent. But I'm the one who will have to choose from
Yes.
here, not you.
Now, so in these demonstrations, Yuri, very
Yes.
often you say you do fail.
Oh, well, you
And
see.
do the audiences accept
let me tell you
this?
this.
Do they accept it?
Yes, you see, I don't force anybody to. First of all, I don't force anybody to come to my appearances and believe me. You see, there it is, and I'm trying to do and succeed. Usually, of course, I don't walk into an audience and they tell me, here, we laid down 20 cans, find it. I can't work that way. Neither at where I do the experiments. I have time, I sit down, you feel, do it. Now, in an audience, I feel much more free. I know that nothing will happen to me if it won't happen, but really to my...
Would you like to go on to the other experiment, the one where we made the... someone drew an object and it's double sealed in the envelope, or would you like to continue with this?
Well, let me try. This one is not over yet. I'm going to come back to
sure
it.
not.
Can you take this spoon in your hand?
Put this spoon in my hand. This one.
Take it and hold it like that. Hold it no, open it and put your other hand on it, gently, like that. Or I won't touch this. No, turn it back. Otherwise, we lift your hand, and lift your hand and put your finger here. Now, I'll put my hand over your finger. Tell me if you feel, and press it like, feel the whole. Tell me if you feel anything coming from my hand. You have here something written on your hand.
Yeah.
Is
It was
that
a name that I didn't
remember?
want to forget, yes. That I never used.
I hope I won't bend this
never-
man, whoever he is. What I'm trying to do is bend the spoon under his finger, wherever.
I feel heat.
Good. Heat is usual. I mean, everybody has a sort of a body heat coming. Tell me if you feel anything. Tell me if you feel your hand somehow sinking into it gently. And I'm not touching him.
Yes.
Good. Okay, gently lift. I'll hold it here. Gently lift up. You see if it's bent there. Yes.
Yes, it is. It is.
Yes. It's bending more. Can you see it?
It is very much bent, I can say.
Now, where?
It was very
Now,
straight.
it was straight. I hope the camera can focus on this. Oh, it's.
Yeah.
It does look like there's a slight
No,
bend in
it'll
it.
keep bending. It bends more. Usually, it bends more after it happens. And this is this is one of the thickest point of the spoon. Well, you can definitely see and feel it. And you felt it.
Yes,
sinking
indeed.
sound.
Yes, I did.
Okay, now, of course, this is not a big bend, Johnny. Before the show, one of your video man brought me a key, and I did it for him, completely bent to, I'd say,
He showed it to me,
40
yeah.
degrees. But there, I'll put it here, and it'll keep going. Look,
Do we have
there
to-
I had no,
Can we cut away again and still come back here?
yeah, okay.
Okay, we'll be right back after another word from one of our sponsors. Gerard, we are back. Uri was telling me you don't feel what, strong tonight?
I don't
Is that?
feel strong. It's not all tonight. Right now, I'm feeling being pressed, and then I can't.
Well, I'm
I
not
can't
trying
do
to
my
press
thing.
you. I really not.
No, you're only
I'm-
telling me, well, will you try that or that or that?
Well, I thought that was the idea of. No, I'm not. No, I'm not trying to push you down. I didn't mean that patronizingly at all, because I have seen you on shows, and I thought the idea was to show, if you possibly could, some of the things that you claim you can do. And I'm certainly don't want to press you. And if you don't feel like you can't do it tonight, or don't wish to try, I certainly don't want to make you feel uncomfortable. I'm not trying to be skeptical. I would love to see these things. I really would.
Right.
Is there anything else that appeals to you? Now, if I'm pressing again, well, for example, now you asked us before the show and this afternoon for one of our staff members to draw on a couple of cards and seal them in an envelope, which we have done.
Yes. Well, let me tell you again. This didn't bend much, and right now here I'm stuck. I don't feel for it more, so I don't want to be stuck either on an envelope. I'd rather tell you that many people are skeptical about these things. They see something happening, and then they want to see it closer and closer. There have been many people running and saying that they can duplicate what I do. Well, I can only say that if I'm on stage and people see me from far, they can always say that there is some sort of a sleight of hand or trickery here.
That's true.
But I've been working with science quite a lot, and by doing what you see here under controlled conditions, because this is not a controlled condition.
What do you mean?
Well, this is not a controlled condition. What I mean is, for instance, in experiments, it's covered with bell jars, and there are cameras running, and many scientists looking at every point, although you're trying to do the same, but this is really not a controlled condition. But again, it's quite difficult for me, and I won't go on something that I don't feel strong for.
All right. Well, it doesn't leave us much, does it?
We do have 3 empty canisters.
Yep, we have 3 empty canisters there, and we have 7 over here,
And the bent spoon.
and a spoon that's got a slight bend in it. No, I'm not trying to be
It's all right.
patronizing at all. I wanted this to be of great success
Johnny,
tonight
I feel
for you.
very good. I feel very good.
Okay, we'll take a break and we'll come right back. Well, Uri, I don't want you to feel bad about this tonight. The monologue doesn't work every night either. And maybe
Thank
it's...
you. I don't feel bad about it. It
maybe
happens to me not once, but it happens quite a lot when I cannot perform and do things.
Would you like to try it again some evening if you want to?
Yeah,
I mean,
I guess,
I'll be happy to extend an invitation to you.
You know, Johnny, just to finish that, this was quite an important appearance for me here tonight. And really, in other places, I felt real good. And I knew I could perform things. Because maybe this was and is an important appearance for me tonight, I might be blocking myself. And I want to tell you, you know, people ask me, are you nervous before coming in and sitting here? I was very nervous tonight, really. Maybe I can say my first time that I was really nervous appearing. I heard about you when I was a little kid in Israel. So
well, look,
for me it was important.
We'll love to have you come back again sometime.
Okay, thank you.
Really.
And don't be disappointed.
I won't.
I'm not.
Okay, fine. Ricardo, thank you. Tomorrow night, Dom DeLuise, Edie Williams, at 3 Degrees, and swindle expert Bob Rosevsky. Good night. We're talking with former Governor Reagan, and during the break we were discussing, when I mentioned that I thought most people were not apathetic, I think they're confused, basically, because you hear intelligent people from both political parties, or in the middle, conservatives and liberals, and they all seem to have different answers as to what is going wrong in the country. Some people say, well, let's let the government spend billions of dollars, and then other people say, no more federal spending. Let's give the tax rebates. And the other intelligent people say, no tax rebates. We've got to do this and do that. So everybody is confused. How do you see the thing? How are we going to get out of this?
Well, Johnny, I think that one of the things is that people keep looking to government for the answer, and government's the problem. A moment ago, you asked, about people and feeling not only confused, but low and down in America. First of all, the American people, if they would just take a little inventory and look around, you triple our troubles, and we're better off than any other people on earth. And we've asked so much of government, and we've gotten in the habit over the last 40 years of thinking that government has the answers. There's very little that government can do as efficiently and as economically as the people can do themselves. And if government would shut the doors and sneak away for about 3 weeks, we'd never miss them. Now, if the people want to be
Anybody you had in mind particularly?
No, I said this while I was in government.
Okay.
Our biggest problem is that we have built a permanent structure of government, federal, state, and local. The permanent employees, and they've come to the place that they actually determine policy in this country more than does the Congress of the United States. Mm-hmm. There are 14.5 million public employees in the United States. That's quite a voting bloc. And the bureaus and agencies, not in Washington, I heard you talking earlier about some of the research programs. Mm-hmm. Well, there was a senator the other day, and he took up some pages of the Congressional Record. He was doing the same thing you were, listing all these crazy research programs and how much they were costing, and wound up his speech by introducing his own. He wants a study and a research of transcendental meditation.
So,
You know, there's a state senator in Michigan, and he just found out the other day they got a $93,000 study on whether chitlins are bad for you. And he said that as a fourth-generation chitlin eater, he figured that he could tell you how for 93 cents you could find out the answer to that.
no, we laugh at those things, but they do happen, I guess.
Oh, listen, you had some beauties and there's some others. What would you say if I told you about one, a study in which this was called the demography of happiness? And in this study, the government found out that young people are happier than old people. And they found out that people that earn more are happier than people that earn less. And they found out that well people are happier than sick people.
That's good. Well, that's
Now,
glad
this
to
was
know that.
$249,000 to find out it's better to be rich, young, and healthy than old, poor, and sick.
So when you say now that it's that the government may be the problem, so what do people do? They have to look to somebody, and you say if they look for themselves, that's it may be good advice.
Well,
But
they
how
don't
about
stay
somebody
home.
who's on a Social Security pension or a pension they're trying to live on $150 a month? You know, they have to look to somebody, I guess.
Yeah.
They're saying, hey, we can't make it. We can't afford to go to a doctor.
Well, 62% of the people can't stay home in an election and cure things, as we did in the last election.
I just read this week heard this week on the radio. They dropped 300,000 voters from the Los Angeles roll because they didn't take the time to go to the polls in the last election. 300,000
It
people.
was the lowest percentage in history. Only 38% of the people voted in the national election. And this means that people aren't paying any attention to what... Well, here, a poll was taken recently that found out that only 46% of the people in the poll could name their United States congressman. But what was worse, 86% of those who could name him couldn't tell you a single thing that he represented or stood for.
They just knew that he represented the
Yeah,
state. But
he
didn't
was a
know where his views
congressman,
were.
but what's he doing while he's up there? And the same is true at the local levels of government and all the rest. But
So you're saying people really have to take an active interest, and you have to have citizen
That's
action groups locally and
let them know. See, the
concerned
special
citizens, et
interest
cetera.
groups. Now, the special interest groups aren't, as everyone thought, big, powerful business interests or something that are going to persuade government to do things. As a matter of fact, I don't know anyone with less influence today in government than business. They're just a convenient whipping boy. But it's the groups that have got a particular axe to grind. You can't have a power plant because it might interfere with the seagulls. Now, I think I'm an environmentalist. And I do not agree with those people way over on the edge who pave the whole country over in the name of progress. But also, I don't like those on the other extreme that won't let you build a house unless it looks like a bird's nest. Someplace in the middle, we got to allow people our ecology, too.
Right.
Well, this kind of group, and they want their particular program. Hundreds of dollars have been added to the cost of an automobile, putting gadgets on it to clear up the air. We're the only country in the world that's set out to do it that way. The automobile industry, over and over again, told government if they give them more time, the answer lay in making the motor more efficient and making it burn the fuel better. And when they were given the limited time, there was only one thing they could turn to. That was the add-ons that you had to go.
And the verdict is really kind of still out on those,
On
whether
whether
they're going to
they're
add
doing
more
any good.
sulfuric acid to the air or not.
Yeah.
What do you think's going to happen? Now, you've been asked this question. I'm sure you knew that I might possibly bring it up tonight. There's an election coming up. You're out of politics now, but you're speaking, and as I say, you're going around the country. Do you envision a possibility, say in '76, if the convention, say, was deadlocked? I'm giving you all the theories and so forth, and the conservatives took over possibly and got control of the electoral process, and they couldn't quite make a decision, and they came to you and said, Governor Reagan, we can't decide between Mr. Ford and Mr. Rockefeller. We're divided. Would you like to go to the White House?
You remember that answer I gave you about the CIA?
Yeah. Oh, come on. No, I won't buy that. I'm not going to buy that. No, I can understand the CIA now, but
No,
I thought that was delicately phrased.
Yes. Verbose but delicate.
Yeah, verbose but delicate.
No, I think it's an unanswerable question. I don't think anyone, in view of the things that have gone on in the last few years, knows what's going to happen in the next 2 years down the road. I think that everyone should hope and pray that people are there will do the job so well that there won't be any question about it. Because if they do, then everything's all right with the rest of us.
You think they're doing their job well?
Well, I agree with some things and disagree with others. When they give me a choice between a $53 billion deficit in the budget and an $80 billion deficit, when budget deficits are what's causing inflation, I don't see that there's any room to be on either side of that argument.
Yeah,
I think the answer to curing inflation is a balanced budget.
Now, how do you do that? I mean, how do you balance the budget?
Well, balancing the budget is like protecting
You don't
your
spend more than you take in, right?
Yeah, it's like protecting your virtue. You have to learn to say no.
There's got to be another way. What's the second option?
Well, no, there's some ways that this could be brought about. First of all, that limitation. Here's another one. Why shouldn't we have, in addition to a simplified income tax, why shouldn't we also have a law that says that any time a legislator or a congressman introduces a spending program, he has to introduce with it a tax program to pay for it? Then let the people find out. There was a woman that, from a financial firm that was back at the President's Economic Council, and her words weren't quoted. Everybody else's words got in the paper, all the Hellers and the Galbraiths and all the so-called economists. And I have a degree in economics, so I can say this. I think an economist is someone who has a Phi Beta Kappa key on one end of his watch chain and no watch on the other. This woman said that you go to the polls and you ask the people, do they want some social service, some program that government can give? And the people in the polls are apt to read and say, hey, that sounds good, yeah. Mm-hmm. But she says that isn't exactly accurate. She says put a $100 bill in each person's hand and then show them the program and say, now, isn't that a nice program? Do you want it? Give me the $100. And she says, see what the poll says then and how many people hang on to the $100 instead of the program.
In other words, if it's rather hidden and someone doesn't know exactly where it's going to come
they
from.
All the government programs start $1 down and we'll catch you later. And they multiply all of those things that you were... The Office of Management and Budget in Washington, that's responsible for the budget, putting the budget together, cannot even tell you how many boards, commissions, agencies, bureaus, and departments there are in the federal government. Yeah. But all of them can pass regulations. And those regulations have the force of law. And the difference is, when you break the law, you're innocent until proven guilty. When you break a regulation, the fellow that charges you with breaking the regulation, you're guilty. Right. And if you want to take him to court and prove you're innocent, that's up to you. Right. And all of these are things that yes, we can trim the budget. There's enough fat in the federal government that if you rendered it, you could wash the world.
They took a poll of the American people the past week, and I think 78% or something, around 75% were opposed to more military aid to Vietnam and Cambodia and Southeast Asia in general. And yet the administration was trying to tell the American people that a couple $100 million or $222 million would make some kind of difference, or that the government might make it. And how do you feel? Do you think that is a lost cause in a way? I think people can see humanitarian, for children, hospitals, et cetera, medical supplies and food. But it seems that the public has just almost had it up with military involvement, where we feel we are not directly threatened.
Well, we are fed up. We're war weary after a long and badly fought war. On the other hand, and this is one where I'll probably lose a lot of people because it isn't popular or political to say this today. When we withdrew our troops, we made a ceasefire, a peace agreement. And it was based on supporting the non-communist forces in Indochina on a basis of one-for-one replacement. Every bullet they expended a bullet to replace it if the communists violated the ceasefire. Mm-hmm. The communists have violated the ceasefire 72,000 times since it was instituted and we brought our men home. And I think for the United States to break its word, we're in that agreement. We pledged something, and the Congress is now saying that the United States reserves the right to just break its word and not what other allies ever going to trust us? And there's no question that backed by Red China and the Soviet Union, the communist forces in Vietnam and Cambodia are on their way to take those over. They do, of course, Laos just automatically falls. Then they're on the edge of Indonesia, 140 million people, which comes within 14 miles at its nearest point of the Philippines. The domino theory is in
that
existence.
still a viable theory, do you think?
And yes, it is. And I could see the United States one day being very, very lonely. Now, it's a very funny thing that the same forces that want to cut our defense spending are the same ones that want to increase all these social services and this social tinkering and experimenting that hasn't worked. And every time it doesn't work, they just impose a more expensive program on top of it. I think the American people, if they really look at all the facts, yes, we want fiscal responsibility. But I think we also want a country that is strong enough at all times that we can say to any adventurous guys over there on the other side of the water, you better look twice, brother, before you start getting rough. That we can take care of ourselves.
As you said, even before you made the statement, that would probably get mixed reaction from an
And I can
audience.
understand that. People are, and it's hard to understand how maybe your interest is involved 10,000 miles away. But Russia seems concerned that their interests extend all the way to Cuba and to South America, to Chile, and to other countries of that kind. And they're the ones that have said they're going to impose their way of life on the rest of the world. We haven't said we want to do it to the rest of the world, our way.
Let me ask you one more question before you go. Let us assume that there's a third party, that neither party seems to go.
Yeah.
You like this approach already, huh? And they're thrown into disarray, as they say, and a third party is formed. Would you think that'll ever happen in this country, where a third party will be a major type of alternate to what we have?
Well, I'd still prefer to see a revitalization of the two major parties we have, because the two-party system has served us very well. Third parties have a notorious way of not being successful. Now, the Republican Party, some people say, well, that was a third party 100 years ago when it started. It actually wasn't. It was a second party. The Whig Party had shrunk and shrunk, and then the remainder of the Whig Party said to two other groups that had formed parties, hey, want to get together with us? They changed their name and called themselves the other party. And so it was, in effect, the Whigs just disappeared. It was a new second party. Maybe this is time. Maybe it's time for realignment between people who might find themselves in the wrong parties. Maybe there are some people still voting. I was a Democrat most of my life. I became a Republican only not too many years ago. And I had the pleasure of telling some of those people that are saying the Republican Party ought to broaden its base the other day that when I switched parties, I didn't do it because the two parties were alike. I did it because they were different. And I think that the two parties ought to stand up as to what they represent, what they stand for. A third party, they have a way of electing the wrong people because they simply divide themselves from the other forces that feel the same way, and then the other fella sneaks in. And it could happen that neither party would represent what the people want, and finally the people would take some action, do something about it. But I'd rather devote our effort to seeing if we can't find out what the present two parties stand for and which one we want to.
But you don't see yourself, or do you see yourself as maybe as a part of that, active politically again? I certainly don't give up, do I?
Yeah, you sure don't. I wish I could think of a good get-off line.
I have Lawrence Spivak's old question, you know, for that.
Nancy, you know, said to say hello tonight. She thought it was great that we're both in town at the same time.
You too, huh? I get that. Thanks for being with us tonight, really. It was a pleasure to see you again. My best.